And now, before going towards the real opening, the secrets, we have to hear a little bit what is Otaniemi of the historical point of view. Please, Vilhelm.
Mrs. Chairman, dear competitors, ladies and gentlemen, my task is to give a brief background to this competition program. What is the site and what is the context of the new arts buildings to be designed, and what is the tradition of Otaniemi campus from the architectural point of view. Yeah. The Otaniemi campus is continuously in the dynamic stage of change. The future demands meet a quite unique architectural whole area campus. Even if the campus has been growing and different architects have contributed, very much of Alvar Aalto's original idea from the competition in 1949 and the later developed is still prevailing. That's an important thing, and that you can see also in the aerial view of the actual situation. The competition area is just, as we all know already, west of the old group of main buildings of Aalto, a very demanding site, of course, but also a site which gives great possibilities, and especially we have already mentioned the importance of the new metro line, which, as we hope, will, so to say, give a pulse of new vitality to the whole area. Next picture, please. Alvar Aalto's campus is foremost a landscape. When the planning started in 1949 with the open competition, the central area was still dominated by a modest 19th century manor house. And you can see down in the 19th century painting the manor house building group with its park-like surroundings and auxiliary buildings. We can see how Aino and Alvar Aalto were inspired by this starting point. Of course, the modest buildings had to disappear, but the cultural landscape remained, and the open field lands, the site of the most important buildings, the small hillside and the important linden alleys became a starting point for Aalto's central composition. A picture from today shows how directly this new concept was fit to this old traditional site. A fantastic example of Aalto's ability to combine something new with a tradition. It's growing from the site. Next pictures. Yes. Already the first sketches for the competition in 1949, Aalto very intensively studied the topography of this area and especially the central area with the meadows and fields and the parks belonging to the manor house. And these directions and lines are very of the old linden alleys, and the open pasture-like land field is a starting point of importance. One of the first general plans for whole Otaniemi, already designed in 1949, show the main features. On one hand, we have the central area with the main building, library, etc., around the open campus field, literary in the valley, and on the site of the old manor house. And then we have the housing and student village and its institutions in the adapted to the very intensive small-scale forest and hilltop topography. This is a real example of the forest town, so to say, a special form of Finnish urbanism. Meanwhile, the third component here, the laboratories, are spread to the more neutral valley lands around the main building. This is a concept which has prevailed, even if many architects have added to this, not only Aalto himself, we can recognize this typical division and main idea even today. And this is, of course, an important starting point also for the whole competition. Next pictures. Yeah. To the left, we have the group of main buildings, already as it was designed in the first competition, and we can all see the legendary motto of Alvar Aalto here. We can say that this design from 1949 is from the brick period of Aalto, and it's very parallel to the famous Saunetsalo town hall. In the 1950s, Aalto developed further the idea of the main auditorium, and it was finally built only and opened in 1964. I remember that myself very well, being a student at that time. What is this idea of the central campus? It's a strange combination of different ideas. Partly we can say that we have the idea, American campus idea, of course, behind that, the idea of American technology, which could be labeled as the machine in the garden. On the other hand, the courtyards and almost monastery-like composition of the institutions in the main building, it gives an association to the oldest British universities. So it's brand new and very traditional on the same time. And if you look at the sketch from 1950s, we can also see that fantastic, completely new composition gives also associations to the oldest cultural landscapes of Europe. New and tradition is combined in this. Next pictures, please. No. We can say, looking at the Otaniemi today, that this Alvarin Aukio, the central core, the open fields, and this is a final composition. It's ready, and it should not be invaded by any new bigger buildings. And even the views inside this area shouldn't be disturbed by something which comes up higher. This is, so to say, a fixed starting point. But just outside this area, we have more free land, and it's exactly there where the competition takes advantage of the possibilities for new development. Next ones. We have also on the outside this Alvarin Aukio, we have important views. Aalto himself very much devoted himself to the composition of how this western alley ended with the main building on its hill and the library. And then we have the open meadow from north leading to the characteristic main auditorium. These are all important views and features which should give an inspiring starting point for the grouping of the new design. Next pictures. Yes. Alvar Aalto's and the whole Otaniemi is very much dominated by brick, but even Aalto himself proposed other materials in the area. There are several white buildings or parts of buildings lighten up in the whole, so it's not so definitely only a brick. Another feature was also the question of the material and how to get the dialogue with the old buildings is a central question. And there was also another idea, if the main auditorium was a kind of special dominant, the other normal laboratories had a more straightforward outlook, resemblant of factory buildings. The building to the down is the first one Aalto realized in the early 1950s, a former sawmill. So we have this contrast of dialogue between the delicate special forms and then this accompanying straightforward buildings. This is something of the context for the new competition. Yes, next one, please. Yeah. Okay, if the inner part of the campus is more or less finalized, we can see that in the many sketches Aalto made or area plans during the decades after 1950 up to the early 1970s, the area west of the main building never got the final form. It gives also a kind of open possibilities. It's this uncertain situation. In this sketch we can also, or not sketch, but outline, we can also see how optimistically Aalto thought that greenery is completely prevailing. The greenery comes up to the thresholds of every building, and parking lots are only small pockets here and there. This vision of a green campus, it was an optimistic one, perhaps not so realistic when car traffic started to expand. Next buildings. Yeah. And here we have the competition site of today. A very typical situation, Otaniemi. We have the new elements of metro coming here, but most of the open land is conquered by parking, and then the rest is more or less a kind of wasteland. And now we have the possibility to heal that and get back. This is the problem of whole Otaniemi, we can say. We can say that the level of the best entries of this competition is very high. When the competition started, the total volume of the new building seemed to be, at least to me, very heavy. It is a positive result to see that the arts program can be located on the site in a positive relation to and in dialogue with Aalto's buildings and campus. This is perhaps the most important result. For the second stage, the jury selected a series of rather different projects with rather different starting points. Some projects aim at a very dense new urban area density, let's say, whereas others gave more space to the open landscape. I would say that the best solutions answer to both of these ideals. They combine lively urban squares close to the metro station with a certain amount of open green space leading to the old main building. And it's of course the fact that the traffic will now, it's a very fine starting point for the project, that the traffic will be underground, and that gives possibilities both for new building and the healing of the landscape. Aalto's Otaniemi is not holy, but it can be respected. I hope that Aalto's architecture will not be experienced as a burden, but as an asset. And I strongly believe that the new arts building will create new life on the campus and also give a new vital role to the old buildings. Thank you.